Good morning. I'm John Ellsworth, founder of Success Strategies Incorporated and the creator of the Success Strategies Advantage. And I want to welcome you to my presentation entitled, Have You Ever Considered Firing Yourself? Kind of a scary thought, isn't it, when you think about it? But this presentation is based upon a book written in the early 90s by author Harvey Mackay. And it's entitled, We Got Fired and It's the Best Thing That Ever Happened to Us. It's a story of numerous people that are very successful and famous. Baseball manager Joe Torre, former Notre Dame football coach Lou Holtz, TV legend Larry King, and Governor Jesse Ventura, for those of you that are tuned in from Minnesota. They all had one thing in common. Actually, they had two things in common. Number one, they got fired, which is always a tough thing to take. And number two, they bounced back. Did they have any financial worries? Probably not as many as you and I would have in that situation, but they did have some. And most importantly, whether you have financial stress associated with it or not, getting fired, or getting canned, if you will, is always a high stress situation. But what else did they have in common? Did they have some regrets? Well, of course, especially financially, I'm sure, because these types of things always seem to happen at the most inopportune time. And so that's always a scary thing to go through. It certainly was for me in a similar situation a long time ago, 30 some years ago. However, I think the thing to remember for them, for all of us, is that it's not the end of the world if you are willing to learn from it. So here's some key questions to ask that they probably asked themselves. Number one, where did I go wrong? Number two, was I actually off track? Or did I just tick off the wrong vice president in the organization who pushed me out the door as a result, feeling threatened somehow by whatever a person had done or said? Number three, and this is really significant, how can I do better going forward? Now, what I'd like you to do is we shift our focus to you and your operation. Oh, and don't worry, you are not going to get fired here. This is just an exercise we're going through, but I think it's a crucial one that we all need to put ourselves through periodically. But pretend for a minute, if you will, that you are getting fired. And I know it's kind of scary, isn't it? So take it seriously and say, yeah, it's scary, but I don't care if you're managing a dairy, if you're running a vineyard operation, an almond operation, a service business, or a bank. This is for you bankers too. Pretend that you're getting fired and ask yourself one important question. What reasons could your board of directors, whether you really have a board or not, it doesn't matter, pretend that you have a board of directors, what could they use against you? And don't hold back any excuses. Let's take a look at some possibilities. Is your operation low in profits historically? How about you're exhibiting poor labor efficiency? So your cost per unit of production is really high compared to the rest of your industry? How about no training plan in place for your employees? And you'll recall the story that I told of a former bank manager that I worked with who said, John, there's nothing worse than training people, spending money on that training, and then having them leave to join the competition. And I suggested that there was one thing way worse, far more worse, and that was not training them and having them stay. How about your cost controls? And this, remember, I've said numerous times in these videos, if you measure it, you can understand it. If you understand it, you can control it. If you can control it, I assure you, you can improve it. And that's really true for all of these, whether it's profits, labor efficiency, cost controls. How about laying a path for your future direction of your organization? Are you on top of your industry changes? What kind of changes do you need to make and does your organization need to make going forward? And again, I don't care what kind of business you're running. These questions are very applicable to each and every one of them. Here's a recommendation for you. Take some time, even if it's just a couple hours, take some time and go through this thinking process today without being fired. it'll be a lot less painful. But ask yourself, if I was being fired, what would be potential justification or reasons for that firing? If you do this, you probably, number one, won't get fired, and you'll be headed to higher levels of success in your business, which is really our objective in these videos and these lessons that we're teaching. I want to ask you a question. If you like this kind of thinking, I want you to be on the lookout for some future next level thinking workshops that'll be online later this year that we're going to offer at successstrategies.com. That address is right above my head as we speak. And I want to leave you with this. Let's take your business to the next level. Again, I want to thank you for listening. I'm John Ellsworth, founder of Success Strategies Incorporated and the creator of the Success Strategies Advantage. Thank you very much.